Welcome to the Dan Sports Tips Daily Fantasy Barclays Premier League show for the 13th of August. It's the first weekend of the Premier League season. Our goal today is to compile a daily fantasy roster on DraftKings of a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 forwards and 1 utility player with a budget of $50,000. Points are scored like this. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to sign up and play daily fantasy sports for DraftKings yet, I will put a link in the description of this video that will enable you to do that today. Starting off with goalkeepers, the 5 points for the win. The bonus makes a fairly obvious starting point with Joe Hart of Man City for 5,600. Hart and Manchester City will face Sunderland at the Etihad. This is a game that City should dominate. They should win it quite comfortably. That being said, Hart is unlikely to accrue many points for saves in this match. A clean sheet looks likely, but the England goalkeeper can be prone to mistakes, as we know, and at a cost of 5,600 you cannot afford really not to be taking clean sheet points and the win for at least a 10-point haul there. But I still think he's almost got to be used in at least one lineup. Tom Heaton of Burnley for 4,900. Burnley opened the season at home to Swansea, a team that's very difficult to gauge this year. But to me, they look in trouble. They've lost some of their better players in last season's top scorer, Andre Ayew, and the heart of their defence, Ashley Williams. There's rumours as well that Gylfi Sigurdsson, their other top draw player, if you like, may not play. He may be rested after his exertions at the Euros in the summer as well. Burnley were certainly solid in their promotion campaign in the Championship last season. While there is an obvious step up to the level of the Premier League, they do have most of their talent at the back, apart from obviously Andre Gray. Swansea is not the hardest opening fixture they could have hoped for at Turf Moor. The stadium you imagine will be rocking and could give a lift to the players. I think this game will be much closer than the Man City-Sunderland game, but that increases your potential for save points for Heaton. Certainly Burnley will be looking to avoid Gylfi Sigurdsson and giving him opportunities at set plays. If he does play, I think Heaton at 4,900 represents excellent value with clean sheet and win possibilities at a cheaper price, and there should be save upside too. Speaking of save upside, Elio Gomez of Watford for 4,400. I will start by being open and honest. I am a Watford fan. I'm unsure how we will get on this year. I wouldn't be shocked about any of 10 different finishing positions in the table. That being said, Gomez was the player of the season last year. He single-handedly did keep us in a lot of games. So long as he doesn't have one of his occasional nightmare performances, see Leicester away last year. Ultimately, this is a Saints squad that hasn't brought a lot of quality in, and 32 of their goals last season were contributed by Sadio Mane, Graziano Pella and Shane Long. Only Shane Long remains at the club from that trio, with Pella having gone to China and Mane now at Anfield. How much of a threat is there going forward past that? That remains to be seen. The Italian mentality at Watford is first and foremost to be difficult to break down. There will certainly be save chances for Gomez today. There are outside clean sheet possibilities that are realistic as well. And Watford certainly can score with the front pairing of Deeney and Igalo up top, and maybe, just maybe, they'll nick a win and get the win points for Gomez as well, but let's not get too carried away, yeah? Looking at defenders today, Leighton Baines of Everton for 5,500. It is hard to know the precise shape that the Everton team under Koeman is going to take. They have been solid in pre-season defensively. If afforded the opportunity to go forward down the flank, Baines has lots of upside. He is usually involved and dangerous at set pieces. Spurs will be a tough game, so defensive points for tackles, etc. will be in play. I do question the upside, whether or not it's there if Koeman asks the fullbacks to sit in. That is possible, because Spurs do have dangerous players out wide themselves, and Everton won't want to be caught out. At the price, we are going to be needing Baines to push on to extract full value, but he's certainly worthy of a mention at the price. On the flip side of that game, Kyle Walker of Spurs for 5,200. I've no doubt that Walker will be supporting Spurs forward play out wide. Whether or not this game results in a clean sheet will probably depend on Romelu Lukaku of Everton, whether or not he turns up in the mood with his shooting boots on. He is the clear main threat for the Toffees. But in what you would expect to be a competitive game, Walker does offer you potential for all-round point scoring, both defensively, moving forward as well. And Michael Keane of Burnley for 3,300. As I said when I was talking about Tom Heaton, I do wonder where the goals will come from Swansea. So Keane does have some clean sheet possibility. He does get forward at set pieces and is dangerous. He scored a few goals last season. A large percentage of goals obviously are generated from set pieces. Swansea overall are far from mugs. They should be able to have periods of control in the game from midfield, so Keane will have opportunities to score defensive points as well, and 3,300 is a bargain basement price that enables you to spend up in midfield and up front. In midfield, Kevin De Bruyne of Man City for 9,300. Among the attacking talent that is on display in the blue half of Manchester, it probably pays to focus on the trio of Aguero up top and De Bruyne and David Silva in midfield. Silva had an injury-hampered campaign last year. He's well worth a look at 8,300 today. I prefer to pay the extra 1,000 for De Bruyne myself. I think he is more of a goal threat. He does tend to play through the middle, which, while that wouldn't normally be a good thing with Kroos's points, the Guardiola style of play doesn't necessarily tend to lend itself to crosses into the box, and therefore does inhibit that point scoring potential a little bit. I'm pretty sure Sunderland under David Moyes are going to go to the Etihad and try and kill the game and get a point. Man City should dominate. I think there'll be an awful lot of potential for the forward players of Man City to score some points today. Andros Townsend of Crystal Palace for 6,700 is one of the few players that could leave Newcastle the debacle in the Toon last year with his head held high. After he moved to Newcastle mid-season, he played some good football, acquitted himself well. He earned his summer move to Crystal Palace. Palace look to have been coming into this season with intent. They have made some good signings. He will complement Wilfried Zaha on the other wing and should be heavily involved against the West Brom side that usually looks to keep things tight and well organised on their travels under Tony Pulis. Palace have got men that can get on the end of a ball in the box. Townsend, I think, is going to have a good season starting today in South London. And up front, Sergio Aguero of Man City for 10,600 is the clear number one play. He's the man at Man City. Chances are he will thrive under Pep Guardiola. I actually expected to see him more expensive than this for a game at home to Sunderland. We want to use him while we can before his hamstring goes ping, which it inevitably will at some point this season. Got 24 goals in the league in 30 games, one of which was a substitute appearance last year. If there is a blowout anywhere on the slate today, it looks like Man City at home to Sunderland. I'm sure Aguero is going to be amongst the goals today. Andre Gray of Burnley for 7,600. Top scored in the Championship last year as Burnley stormed to promotion. The concern would be he is far and away the main goal threat for Burnley, and in the Premier League you do need to have more than one option as teams will take away your biggest threat. All that being said, with the transfer of Williams to Everton earlier this week, the Swans are going to have a hole in the heart of their defence, which they may struggle to fill. While I don't expect this to be a game full of goals, because Burnley themselves aren't exactly what you'd call prolific, they converted a ridiculous percentage of their shots into goals last year. If they do score, it's likely to be Gray, let's be honest, and produce that moment for the fans at home on the opening day. So I think for 7,600 he's certainly worth a look. Troy Deeney of Watford for 7,000. Deeney was outstanding for Watford last year. He sacrificed himself for the team on many occasions. Ighalo took all the plaudits early in the year as he stormed out the gates and scored a lot of goals. By the end of the season, Deeney was only a couple of goals behind Ighalo. He does have penalty responsibilities, which obviously adds to the upside, and with the head coach change from Quique Sanchez-Flores to Walter Mazzari likes to play two up front rather than the one favoured by Flores. Deeney will play in a more advanced position and will not be the link-up man between the midfield and Ighalo this year, so should well get an increase in certainly forward production such as goals. I think 7,000, he's my favourite to pair with Aguero today. And Marko Arnautovic of Stoke for 6,800 is almost a perfect player for Stoke today on the road. Arnautovic has skill with the ball at his feet. He can hold it up. He's got strength in the air. He is one of the more underrated players in the Premier League. On the road at a newly promoted team in Middlesbrough, Arnautovic is likely to play a key role in the game plan, as Stoke are going to have periods with the crowd at the Riverside urging their team forward, and Stoke will have to then soak up the pressure. Arnautovic will be an outlet. He's shown before that he can be excellent on the counter-attack. He's a serious goal threat. He's involved at set pieces as well. That is often where the new boys get caught out at this level as well. So I think Arnautovic is also a solid play, maybe for a utility spot at 6,800. That's my opinion on today's daily fantasy games for DraftKings in the Premier League. Let me know what you will think will happen in today's games, what your lineups are looking like, and I'll be back next week. See you later.